So we take literally one step into the overworld, and we immediately encounter a quest NPC who gives us a quest. CrossCode.
Not just a quest. We're about to get a quest to get 4 other quests.
Oh no, that's next screen.
Ah.
This guy just wanted us to kill 10 hedgehogs, which, in his defense, we were gonna do anyway.
My apologies. I was getting just a bit ahead of things.
Yeah. Probated for spoilers. Anyway, these are hedgehogs. I mean, you can probably guess how they fight, given that they're hedgehogs. They roll up and they spin dash at you. We are currently at the minimum possible level, so they are a small to moderate threat. To its credit, the game immediately introduces a new enemy on the next screen. We'll have a bit more time to analyze these guys a bit later.
Here's all the analysis you need. Fuck those guys.
Yeah, they kinda suck. I have, by the way, skipped over one tutorial which explains to us what combat rank does, but we'll get to that. Suffice it to say for the time being that you'll notice that the combat music is continuing even though we've murdered all the enemies in the vicinity. It's honestly not that much of a thing. Mostly it's for loot.
Yeah, the short version is that as you kill things, your rank goes up until you choose to end combat. And the higher your rank is, the better drops you get.
Yeah. If you go 5 seconds without being in a fight, it will end, or if you try to open a menu, it will immediately end. So you can keep a fight going for as long or as short as you want. And if you get the rank all the way up, then enemies start dropping, like, considerably better stuff. That is the only benefit, by the way. It doesn't give you, like, more EXP, it doesn't give you, like, harder enemies. It's literally just loot, and sometimes that's what you want.
I mean, it's required for a lot of side quests.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things where, like, hey, you need this thing, but you need to kill this enemy at minimum rank C or whatever.
Oh yeah. In fact, we were told about one of those from the get-go by mistake. It wants us to get meat. Anyway, other extremely important CrossCode exploration mechanic is plant violence. We are going to be breaking plants all the damn time. In this little section of video, in this section of video alone, I am going to show a mostly, I say as a jump cut happens, mostly unabridged footage of me running around murdering plants, but suffice it to say I will be skipping over a lot of this because it's like, yeah. Also, references. Very important question. Do you like references to other video games?
I mean, they're acceptable as long as they are not used in place of your own content. But, you know, this game does a pretty good job of not doing that.
That's mostly a good time.
Yeah, otherwise what we would call the Ready Player One effect.
Incidentally, this is also going to be the only time in this LP, I think, that I'm going to show like a sped up version of me exploring an area trying to find my way up to a chest. I just felt it was important that we understand what that looks like when you don't abridge it, so you can have some understanding of what I'm going through. Anyway, this guy is the guy who's going to give us a quest to do 4 other quests. Apparently, people often rather choose to ignore him.
I cannot fathom why that might be.
I feel like I've said this before, but I feel like he could stand to look a little bit less evil. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just being presumptuous. The good news is, most of the stuff he's going to tell you to do is stuff that you basically want to do anyway. And the actual spoiler, he's going to show up in multiple areas, and he's always just going to give us these quests to just go and be ourselves at this game. Go do stuff, go find drops, go murder enemies, and definitely go explore.
Go do the thing that you were going to do anyway.
You'll note, incidentally, that the 5 hedgehogs he wants us to kill are counted separately from the 10 hedgehogs the first guy wants us to kill. Although drops are... items don't work like that. I don't really understand the subtle things at play here. I think it's mostly because items have to actually be turned in. Anyway, this is the point in the series at which I'm just going to start cutting out incidental combat unless it's, like, specifically noteworthy. So that's something. Anyway, turning in this quest immediately gets us another quest, but fortunately we've done enough plant violence that we can immediately turn this one in as well. CrossCode! Now we have some, I mean, I'm not going to say good yet, but we have some equipment. Our stats all just went up by like 2. Hooray! Anyway, here is what happens if you take literally the first opportunity that the game gives you to go exploring a little bit off the incredibly obvious trail. Mostly we just get some more plants to kill and some, like, incidental NPCs to talk to, but in a minute we'll see the game trying to make a point. Incidentally, you can see that even with our slightly improved equipment, we're not really speeding through these hedgehogs any more efficiently than we were before.
The way stats and equipment interact is kind of weird anyway. Like,
I dig it, honestly.
Like as you equip stuff, and that, like, you have an equipment level which is different from your actual level, but, like, your stats aren't really that meaningfully different.
Equipment level doesn't really do anything, though. Like, it's mostly illustrative. It kind of lines up with the stuff that you should be getting will be, like, roughly your level, and, you know, that's the thing. But there's nothing that stops you from equipping massively under or over leveled equipment if you have it. So, I don't know. Speaking of stats, you can read stats off of enemies, and these hedgehogs are red. You can probably...
No, they're old. Please, Fiddle.
Oh. I mean, they can be old and red. I don't know if they're red because they're old. I don't know how hedgehogs work. Anyway, this guy is 1 on his own, so, you know, we can deal. It just takes a little bit to, like, mercilessly dunk him into the river, but, you know, we can deal. However, we then proceed a little bit further into this off-road. And, well, I'm okay at this game, I like to think, so I can, even with the minimum possible stats at this point, like, I can fend for myself in this room. We're not very survivable, like, going along, you see, Emily's dead already, that can happen, by the way. Trying to keep a big combat streak going is mostly about survivability. So you'll find that you get whittled down a lot, mistakes become very costly, and when you can't regenerate, which we basically can't, you're reliant on items to do that stuff. And when you try and keep this going at the very low levels on a screen like this, you just end up with this ridiculous trying to keep safe roundabout style of kiting 10 hedgehogs around a tree for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, this game uses a lot of death by 1,000 cuts kind of combat.
And yeah, you do have to pause in order to eat, and you can be interrupted out of it. So, you know, that's fun. Keep that stuff in mind. Anyway, look, we managed to survive this, despite whatever was going on with Emily over there. And our reward is a nice inviting treasure chest that definitely is not a trap. Any questions?
I mean, honestly, I think it would have been a lot more believable if they had waited to spawn that until after you killed every enemy, because that would definitely make you think, oh, I'm not about to get viciously owned.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, here's a blue hedgehog. The recommended for this is level 15. We are level, I wasn't paying attention, I think 5?
6, I think, is where we're at right now.
6. I can believe that. The point is, we're at a level where he can take off like 2/3 of our health by landing a single hit. And you can see what we're doing to his health bar. This is not impossible, by the way. It just takes a long time and you have to play basically perfectly, but you know. You can actually make some pretty decent headway as long as Emily doesn't die, but, well, Emily dies, so what are you gonna do? Anyway, I tried. Here's dying in CrossCode. You go back to the start of the area. You don't even lose any experience or anything. I thought for ages, by the way, that you have to actually finish combat in order to cash in your experience, but you don't. You get it anyway when you respawn. Here's some more sphere grids. I think we need a ranged art. I actually go back and forth, like just in my opinion, about whether I prefer the big bouncy ball that penetrates or like the 100 shots. The point is, now you can hold down the special button while aiming. It's decent. I'm gonna make one attempt to show it before we cut forward and proceed with, you know, the actual critical path.
Yep. That sure is a sphere art.
As you can probably imagine, it's considerably more effective in very tight spaces. And, you know, also against enemies that are actually on your level. Speaking of being on your level,
now I'm not an expert here, but let's suppose that we were, in fact, a cheater. Why would we not just cheat in our duel with him?
I think he thinks that, like, if we cheated in a duel with him in front of witnesses, then, like, we'd be publicly exposed or something? I don't know. What I will say is that Emily is completely right. That individual level is basically worthless. Levels in this game, they count for nothing. You get like a handful of stats per level, but where you really sing is in equipment.
Yeah, like I don't know if anyone's like been paying attention, but we've been getting like 1 attack and 2 HP every time we level up.
Like we got more attack than that just by our first shitty equipment upgrade. And it pretty much just goes uphill from there, honestly. It's all like... it's all about equipment, and not just for like the basic numbers, but your equipment is what gives you the interesting modifiers. Oh, here, by the way, is what 99% of the time it's like trying to do violence to the rare plants. We can see there was the slightly different looking ball plant at the top of our screen just here. And it's on a high elevation, so you have to shoot it from somewhere nearby, but I couldn't quite figure out how to curve it around that tree. Don't worry, I'll get it. Anyway, off to the north there is where we're notionally supposed to be going, but we're taking the scenic route for demonstration purposes. Also note, you can't jump over and up. You can jump one elevation up, or you can jump over a small gap, but it's real important that you learn this, because painful otherwise.
Yeah, platforming is not... This game does a lot of really deceptive platforming.
Deceptive is one word. I don't know if deceptive is the entirety of what we're trying to accomplish. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with it. Like, there's times at which this game could stand to be a lot clearer about where you are and where you're going, but it's like, I think it's just that this art style is kind of an impediment to the clarity. And I think what this game sorely needs, and I guarantee it's probably a mod available somewhere, is you need to be able to just hold a button and see like a height map in false colours, just to see like at a glance what the actual elevation of stuff is.
I mean, a better environmental designer would have done something where each elevation just had like a slightly different color grass.
Oh yeah, you could probably also have done that. Honestly, I would have done both that thing and my thing, just for the sake of accessibility. But yeah, that would also have been a great thing to have done. Instead, we just get nothing. Anyway, here's some giant armoured cows. The face is armoured, the back is not. You tell me. They're exactly what they appear. Try not to get hit by them. Something I'm kind of endlessly confused about is to what extent can other classes in this game switch between melee and ranged combat. You see all these other players talking about this stuff and like it's notionally interesting, but it's never a problem for us because we're a Spheromancer, we can do everything. Anyway, this is the officially sanctioned midpoint. There's some traders here. I think I vaguely alluded to it before, but traders in this game in different areas will trade you the same stuff for different base stuff. And honestly, that's kind of great, because it means that, here's the loot for this area, and there's a bunch of traders in this area that take the loot from this area. By the way, hot take, fishing systems are bad.
Yeah, I'll allow that, actually.
I will fist fight Yoko Taro on this.
I will allow that one, actually.
Here's a hidden cave. At least, here's one entrance to a hidden cave. Turns out it's the wrong one. And here's a complaint. If you look at the map, if you look at the room we're in on the map, can you see it? You can't see it. You can't see it because of the border that goes around the room we're in, but if we move out and open the map again, now you can just about see that it shows the second entrance to that cave. It's up there, we can see where it is.
Oh yeah, the map is...
find it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the map is extremely... temperamental, we'll say.
It gets in its own way a lot. Here's an actual good piece of equipment just lying around. It's got decent stats, and it gives us our first interesting stat, even if it is just elemental resistance. Why would we care about elemental resistance? I'll get back to you. We're going to see some interesting stats later, by the way. Anyway, obviously we will eventually complete most of Henry's quest just by walking around on our own. We're not even really going to try for most of them. It's really only the finding the data probes that are really any kind of a problem. Yeah, I imagine some backer was just like, ah, crap, they want some good dialogue from me. It's my theory and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, jumping, elevation, CrossCode. Watch enough of these videos and you will learn that I like to get very paranoid about checking my jumps by aiming the dots over them. I don't blame me.
I mean, with foreshadowing like that is obviously like the most worthless chest in this entire area. Like that's what I would do as a game designer. I would tell you how extremely important this chest is and how it's gotta have something great, and then I would put like a sandwich in it.
I'm gonna act like I can remember what's actually in that chest. Anyway, two things. Seeker sensors will usually guide us to stuff, so that's nice. Also, the party member characters in this game have a honestly astonishing amount of stuff to say. Emily mostly just talks about various things that she remembers after, you know, thinking about all the RPG animals that you're slaughtering. Anyway, here we're seeing what it's like to try and find your way up to a high point on another screen, and then slowly coming to the realization that actually you need to move on to a completely different screen and then find the single way to jump up and then go on a big long trek around. In this particular case, that's actually, you know, A, entirely intentional, and B, actually kind of well handled, because the sick tree on the one screen is what actually gets your attention, but in trying to find your way to it, it takes you past pretty much all the other ones. So, game design?
I mean, this one specific instance, yeah, sure, game design. I'm not so willing to give them the benefit of the doubt on most of the other ones.
Well, rest assured, by the time we're through, we're gonna see some shit.